some jazz today. Yes, you gon' learn, you gon' learn, you gon' learn. It was just past 1, 2, 3 man with a 4, 5 step to the door like, oh my gosh, just throw that cash in a back bag, run around the back.
Hey everybody, it's Liz from the Lemon Bowl,
Vince from Irie Kitchen.
and welcome to the Irie Lemon Podcast. Good morning.
Good morning. Episode
14.
14 for
14.
14.
So today we are at the letter K. We're getting close. Is that halfway through the alphabet? No, but we're almost there.
Yeah, I can't do mental math.
K is for, this is a good one, folks,
You know yourself.
knowing yourself.
Shout out to Drake.
So this is hot on our minds. This is honestly what Vince and I have been talking about a lot.
Past couple weeks for sure.
Yeah. We talk about this very regularly. So we figured that it was definitely the right time with K coming up. And I think what we'll do is talk a little bit about why it is so important to know yourself and how ways that we've worked to get to know ourselves, and just talk from there. Why don't you start?
Yeah, so, being self-aware, like knowing yourself has been a topic on my brain lately, just because I see personally in the world a lot of like Me Too's, right? A lot of like copycats, a lot of people who are influenced. But like for myself, I think I've always had a good sense of myself, but I'm learning how to slow down a little bit so that I'm not moving too fast. And the reason why I'm doing that, because I really want to understand myself and really want to get myself, not kind of like, I don't know how to really use a good example of this, but we don't spend a lot of time, I feel like, as people to like really spend time with yourself and figure yourself out. Like once you know yourself out and when you figure yourself out, I think things get super easy. So
Right.
I've always known things I liked, what I didn't like, but you should probably go deeper than that.
Yeah.
Right? Why don't you like that thing? What are you good at? What you're not good at?
Right.
Like I've been spending a lot of time lately. Like, okay, instead of thinking I can do everything and anything, this is what I actually can do, right? And I'm really good at this.
I
And,
do love your optimism.
right? Like when Liz and I became friends, I was definitely the person that thought he could do everything and anything, and I was doing everything and anything. Not amazingly,
Yeah.
but I was doing it, and but that's way more stress. Not really effective. And then I started simplifying my life down to the point where I was like, wait, let me know myself. Let me figure out what I want, who I am, what I like, what makes me tick, and then
Right.
apply it to something.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think knowing yourself is on a macro level as well as like a minute to minute, hourly, daily level. So for example, there's 2 different things that I've done in, my 30s in terms of knowing myself. Because also I think for me, it's like once you have kids and it's all of a sudden you've lost yourself because you have to be completely selfless because you're literally like nourishing the kids, getting them ready. Like you're their, like they're so codependent on you. So you can't really think about who am I? What do I love? What do I like? What are my turn-ons and turn-offs in life? What makes me you don't get to do that. So what I actually found is after I had kids, I had to almost start over and figure out who I am as an adult and all that. So I think it is something that you will probably do throughout your life. And so it's good to kind of have those different strategies in place, which we will share a couple that we've used. But even, start with where you are now, but just know that it's something that it's not just a one and done type of situation. Like you're going to want to check in with yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, because I think if we all look back, you're different when you were younger.
Yeah.
Right? You might have some like core things that are still part of you.
Right.
But, you change, your mindset changed, things that you thought changed.
Right.
So as you
your
grow,
priorities change.
Yeah.
There's other things in your life.
And like how you say, like you lose yourself, sometimes we're so busy.
Yeah.
I feel like just busy, just doing stuff.
yeah.
Just like busy.
Americans love to be busy.
Love being so busy to the fact
Can
that
we talk about busy bragging?
we're all busy, by the way.
So a few blogging friends and I years ago, we hashtag busy bragging. You guys know who I'm talking about. It's like when you're talking with other people, whether it's on social media, on the phone, on text, and you ask someone how they're doing, and they literally give you their day agenda and how busy they are and how much they have to do. And it's almost like I found that there were these certain people that literally thrived on busy bragging. And so my friends and I have made this commitment to stop busy bragging, because who's not busy?
Yeah, everyone's busy.
We're all busy.
We're all busy all the time.
And I don't really want to talk about how busy we all are, because that's just going to make me feel more stressed out.
Yeah, a lot of times when people ask me, I'm like, I really try not to go through it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, we work. That's what we do. But I do think.
I don't think we should try to like one up each other's busyness, is what I'm trying to say.
I agree.
I'm a huge fan of being efficient, and I'm very productive and ambitious, and I don't just chill out.
Well, I want to. Yeah.
But like, I don't want to try to one up you with how busy we are.
Yeah, and I want us, like, lately too, I think using the words like full or productive are like definitely better than busy. Cause I feel like, a lot of people are busy but not really effective.
Correct.
So like, again,
people
like,
confuse busyness with success.
Yeah, like, and that's, I think busy a lot of times becomes a distraction.
Yeah.
Right? You keep filling your plate.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine like Thanksgiving dinner, because we just had Thanksgiving.
Right.
And you're not done with your other stuff, but because you have open space, you keep adding more to your plate.
And to
I
your
feel
point, you can't get to know yourself if you're just literally reacting all day to busy
and
tasks,
I feel like
agendas, meetings, made up necessities.
I think a lot of people, and they fill their schedule up to not to spend time with themselves.
Yeah.
Right? They avoid that completely. Right? So I think, if you're a busy bee, right, and you're realizing that a lot of things that you do aren't the most productive.
Yeah.
Because you haven't spent time to know yourself and to know where you're going, what's your intent.
Right.
Right? Then like I feel like, you're just being a little busy bee, like a busy bragger.
100%.
And like and don't get me wrong, like it's funny because we're all busy. Like we all do stuff. Like unless you're really at home just not doing anything, you're probably doing something today. Correct. Or tomorrow or the next day. So it's funny to me that how like busy everybody is, especially in America. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, and I was definitely a victim of this where, if I was feeling anxious or bad, I'll just add something to my plate. Mm-hmm. So I have to go through the feeling and just do something else. Yeah. Right. So I wanted to like kind of slow down a little bit and be like, okay, what am I doing? Right. And why am I, if I feel this way, why am I adding more stuff to my plate instead of like, if I'm stressed out, why am I doing another thing?
And I think what you just said is, if I feel this way, because I do think there's a couple different facets. I would say for me, knowing myself is knowing my personality, how my brain works, as well as also knowing what my needs are on a daily basis, both like from an emotional standpoint as well as like obviously other necessities. But, really just checking in with yourself to see not just, what you like and what you enjoy, but what do you need and how are you feeling? Because once you check in with how you feel, you can better figure out how to meet your needs. Yes. And something that we learned, speaking of knowing yourself, of course, Enneagram is a great tool for getting to know yourself. Mm-hmm. We really recommend you listen back, if you haven't already, to the podcast about Enneagram with Abby Manchesky. That's a great starting point. Great episode, too. Really good episode. One of my favorites. Yeah. But something that we learned, or I learned through Enneagram, is that to Vince's point about, you said like people don't like to sit with themselves and all that. So depending on your Enneagram type, different types are either future oriented, present day oriented, or past day oriented. And what I learned is that there's reasons for that. So for example, me, I'm present oriented. Well, I'm trying to remember. I know with like, if you're future oriented, like you're being in the future, you don't have to deal with today, and you haven't failed yet. And then like for me being in the present, I want to make sure I research that specifically. So we'll put that in the show notes. But if you learn how you're oriented to time, that will help you understand why you might avoid sitting with yourself. Like I know for me, I'm a super social person. So there's probably something, I'm a type 2, when I'm, I have social plans, I'm around other people. Well, then I'm not like sitting with myself, so I'm not focused on my own needs. So sometimes what I have to do on a daily basis is, what are my needs right now? Because my inclination as a type 2 is to take care of everybody else's needs first.
Exactly. Which is powerful. And right there is that you spend the time to know yourself. Yeah. Using tools like the Enneagram.
How else have you gotten to know yourself?
Like personally, outside of like Enneagram and Myers-Briggs and all those kind of things, I've just really been taking a lot of time just like being by myself. Yeah. And thinking, but like also getting out of my head.
So how do you get out of your head?
Well, I think there's like for everyone, I guess it'd be different. For me,
Yeah.
it's like I spend a lot of time in my head. So
you mean like when you say getting out of your head, you mean doing things that help you stop overthinking?
yeah, overthinking, but also just like being more present and slowing down.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times you might be by yourself, but you're so much in your head.
Yeah.
You're still like
You're not even like there.
Your brain is still being very busy. Right? Like
Yeah.
I think we've all had those times where you're like you might be somewhere on the couch or eating dinner, but you're not there. Like mentally you're somewhere else.
Right.
And it's like, you know, that's great for escapism when you need it. But a lot of times though, you might gotta like, actually be present for a second and like go through it. So for me, it's like I spend a lot of time with myself and then not forcing myself not to think or be in my head so much.
So practical ways to do that are, of course, meditation.
Yeah, meditation.
Exercise is a good one.
Exercise
Like I always catch myself when I'm working out, I'm not thinking because I'm just focused on getting. I work out pretty intensely, and when I'm working out really hard, I can't think about anything else. I can't talk to people. I can't even like listen to podcasts. That's too much. Like I'm just trying to get through it, which is so wonderful because my brain does shut off. Same thing sometimes happens when I cook or when I entertain, host parties, because I'm just like in that flow state where I'm not thinking about, and also like when I'm with my kids and just focused on them and in the moment, your mind is able to shut off. What are ways that, because to your point, we're not talking about Netflixing or drinking. Those are all buffers. Like a lot of people buffer because they don't want to like deal with who they are and be with themselves or think about what they need or what they're feeling.
Yeah.
So people will overdrink, overeat,
The list goes on and on and on.
There's addictions to porn. Like the list goes on.
Yeah,
We're not gonna go down there.
But I think because it's easier to like escape than like to like figure that out.
Wait.
It's because it's a lot of work. So like one thing for me is like I play music. I play music very loud.
Oh yeah, duh.
So
How did I forget music?
Yeah, so I play music
I
loud.
listen to music all day.
Yeah, I play music loud so it can like kind of distract me.
Literally tune out
So
your thoughts.
I have to do like multiple things to distract myself. Like guys, like I'm super like I don't know, it's ADHD, productive, whatever you want to call it. Like I have to be doing something. Like even right now, I'm playing with my hands right now while talking. Like I can't really like.
I'm proud that you're not on your phone.
Like I can't really like.
By the way, the phone and social media is a big buffer.
Oh, big thing. I mean, it just keeps you busy again, right? It keeps you not thinking, or present at least. So yeah, I just play music really loud, and I just take time to like, okay, and then like think, or like if I feel something like actually like I might stand it. It's funny, I'll stay on like me feeling. Let's say I'm feeling bad, having a bad day. I probably either think about it for 10 seconds and then like start thinking about other things, or overly think about it.
0 or 100.
0 or 100. So now it's time to like just kind of like course correct, thought correct, and like and the reason why you're doing that, I know it's like super heady right now, but like the reason why you want to do that, in my opinion, is when you catch yourself not on your path or your journey, right? You'll be able to tell like if you're not being authentic or this is the right thing you should be doing, and it can help you like having that kind of like that scorecard internally will help be able to judge if you should do something, if you should not do something.
Right. And what are some ways? I know for me, it's it's the vibrations in my body from
your intuition, your gut, like vibrations. Like you might plan something 3 months in advance, be like, yo, I want to do this, and then it comes up, you're like, oh, this is not what I want to do anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's most people will push through, quote unquote, and then do it. And like if there's an obligation where you have to do it, we'll do it. I'm not saying not to like not do obligations, but that's a great me to be like, if you're in tune with yourself, to know like, oh,
you probably knew it when you booked it, but you weren't in tune with yourself.
Yeah, or you're just in a different period. Like it was 3 months ago.
Right.
So 3 months ago, you might say, I'm gonna take that meeting.
Yeah.
But then 3 months comes down like, oh well, we're building this. I really don't have time to take that meeting. So then it's like you got to be able to like, pivot and be okay with that because you're so in tune with yourself and you're not like putting too much pressure on yourself, right? And especially when I want to jump to the other part of knowing yourself. So after you figure out yourself, you spend some time knowing what you like, what you don't like, where you're going. Then the conversation is about what do you say and what do you want to execute in your life.
Yeah.
So I've been spending a lot of time, and I think a lot of the audience is a little bit older, but I've been spending a lot of time with young people, and I think they say a lot of big things and put a lot of pressure on themselves.
Yeah, they do.
And I'm one of them, 100%. But like I've always been that way. But I do see people like whether it's buffering or puffing their chest when they're around me. And like, I'm like, wait, like, you think that I have this all figured out and it's easy?
Yeah.
Like, this is a lot of work. So right now I've been like also telling people like, yo, figure yourself out before you go out and say something you want to do.
Yeah.
Because you really have to know yourself, right? Like, there might be somebody who wants to be in music, but like they don't really have the capacity to travel, you know, to 200 countries on a world tour and do the same songs over and over again. Doesn't matter, your voice hurts.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the music business. Like if you want to be Drake or you want to be Madonna, you want to be Michael Jackson, you're gonna be this big artist, but that's what it's gonna take.
Right.
Right. So when you know yourself, you can kind of gauge like, yo, do I have the capacity to actually build this thing or do this thing?
Do you ever just tell your friends like, look, that's probably not gonna happen?
I try to like apply a lot of pressure. Like, okay, you want to do it, you have to do this.
Yeah.
And it's funny how like as humans we have to control a lot of things. So people think that like you can have one thing and bring it to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I've learned the hard way that's not how it works.
I think that's why people are afraid to like get in touch with their feelings and all that, because that's, I mean, you have no control over your feelings.
Right? You don't. And I make jokes about like you have to like drop a bag to get a bag, right?
Yeah.
Like it's serious. Like there's been a lot of times in my life where even currently right now where I want people or certain things to come over here.
Yeah.
But if I want this is not part of the deal.
Correct.
That's not how the universe works.
Right.
Right? So when you say I want to go and be, I don't know, you want to build $1 billion company, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
What
value do you provide for
That's
the
1%
people?
of the 1%.
Right.
Do that. Like.
And how about instead of talking about that, how about what value are you going to bring people?
Exactly, because you know the material things, the money, and we all know this, but like just really drill into people, like that does not mean anything.
Right.
It's the family, the friends, your experiences that make a life. The money does not matter. The success doesn't really matter. But when we say these things, especially in American culture, where it's like American dream, alpha, right, capitalistic, which I love.
Right.
This is who I am, my DNA.
Right.
But like it is like also like I can see like, you know, young people and even older people like fall into these traps.
Well, right.
And it's like, wait, you probably just want to be, you know,
I'm doing it for the wrong reason.
You're probably doing it for the wrong reasons. You haven't really spent time yourself because you might not have the capacity or the talent to really do it. And then on top of that, hard work.
Yeah.
Like you work very hard. I work very hard every single day.
Right.
Anyone that knows us personally knows that this is what we do. We work hard. We do this only. Like we work hard, and like you're at a different stage in your life where you have a family, so you worked hard to the point where you built your life around it.
Right.
But there's sacrifice that you take, right, to get to that point. So if you know yourself and you know you have the capacity to do it, you're like, I'm doing it, but it has to be like this for me, and I have to compromise and do all these things. I don't think a lot of people are spending enough time with themselves to realize that. Because they might say an audacious goal and be miserable when they get there. Right. Because a lot of times I hear people like, when I get there, when I get there, when I get there, when I get there. I'm like, no, dude, like, if you're not enjoying the process through.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I also think it's important to know like your money motivation. So that's something that I remember taking. This is from the Marie Forleo podcast, which we can link to in the show notes. She has a lot of amazing podcasts about business and success, etc. But one thing that she linked to is about learning your money motivation. Because similar to weight loss, if you don't know what your motivation is, you are going to have a lot harder time, if ever, of ever accomplishing that goal. So, for example, when I lost weight, my motivation was preventing long-term disease such as cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. So my dad's a physician. I grew up my whole life seeing people sick. And I just didn't want to take, knock on wood, good DNA. You know, we don't have a lot of those in our family, but I didn't want to rely on that. So I knew losing weight would reduce my risk of cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. So that was my motivation. And once you know that, know where you're going, know your why, then you can get there. So with money, there's different categories that people fall into, primary different ones. So one could be literally material. So you want a big house, you want fancy cars, you want to go on big trips. Okay. Another one might be charitable reasons. You want to build a foundation. You want to give back. You want to do this, that, and the other. The next one could be, this is mine. I want to spend the money on people I love. So whether that's hiring more, giving people jobs, whether that's sending people on vacations, buying people houses. I want to make a lot of money so that I can spoil the people in my life. That's just like, that's my motivation. That's what drives me. So there's different motivations, but I think that's also part of knowing yourself, is knowing why you're doing it. And you might think it's, because Susie Sneakers is building a nonprofit. Well, that might not motivate you, and then you're not going to reach your goals because you're doing it for Susie Sneakers' why, not your why.
Exactly, because we get in these like systems, these cultures, right, where like you're like competing for things you don't want to fight for.
Correct.
Like how many people are fighting for the nice thing, but they don't even care about the nice thing.
They
care more
literally
about
don't
the trip.
care. Right.
So I'm like, wait, if you slow down for a second, like you're good.
They buy the nice thing because they think they're supposed to have the nice thing.
And also, you might really like nice things, and like you might feel bad that you like nice things.
Remember you were trying to get me to buy a really fancy car, and I'm like, I just want a Ford Explorer, Vince.
Yeah, because I like, and I'm like, I love cars, right? And it's just like, you can't impose your will on other people. And like, no matter how hard you try.
Sorry.
Wah, wah. I just bought myself a nice car. But like, but for me too, like, I love cars, right? And I always tell people that I actually like cars. So.
Yeah.
Like, I'll look at like Kias to Toyotas to the nice fancy car. Like, I'm just interested in the way automobiles work and how they design them. I have not really like only luxury car.
Yeah.
And I do see people who like want that Mercedes so they can show everybody they have a Mercedes.
Yeah, exactly.
And to me, that's scary. That's kind of sad. And it's kind of disappointing. I'm like, dude, well, like,
what's the real?
Well, I mean, I only can see you once in a while.
Right.
I can only tell you it's a dope car like once every 6 months.
Weird to me. I would never.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're living life for that, it seems kind of pointless, right?
Yeah.
But you actually like that car because you know the designer who made it, and you like the mechanics of it, and like I like to go fast. So like, for me, it's like I want to like work on the turbos and the springs and like.
Look how excited
like,
he was talking about cars.
Right. So like for me, it's like I actually want to like make the car and like drive it. Like, all the time. Like, if I get a fancy car, quote unquote, I'm probably gonna be driving it.
Yeah.
Like all the time. Like,
yeah, you're not doing it for somebody else's recognition.
I could care less.
And that right there is key. If you're doing something for the recognition of somebody else, that's probably not a good why, because it's a very short-term gratification versus long-term. So, for example, when you lose weight, you feel good every day and you have energy and you're not sick. So that's like a long-term reward.
Yeah.
If you're just looking for that quick hit of someone being like, nice car, dude. Well, that's a come.
Yeah.
I have another way to know yourself tip.
Go ahead.
Ready? It's a good one. So about, let's say 3 or 4 years ago, I took this like intensive online program through personalityhacker.com, which by the way is one of my favorite free podcasts, Personality Hacker. But this one was about Myers-Briggs, and not just knowing your Myers-Briggs type, that's just the start. So all of these personality tests are super trendy right now, Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, etc. And that's super cool. But knowing your type is literally the first step of the journey. So what I did with Personality Hacker is this program where I learned my Myers-Briggs. I'm an ESFJ, but then it broke it down. And it broke down all 4 sections of that, as well as how it impacts every aspect of your life, how you run your business, how you interact with other people, how your brain works, how you handle turmoil, how you respond to different things. And that was so helpful for me. And again, it was interactive. It was basically a series of videos with a worksheet, and I worked through, how does this make you feel? What do you do in this scenario? How would you get out of this? What's a good way? And I really like practical like tips and strategies for dealing with things. I'm just like I'm really into being a better person. So if you are invested or interested in that, we can link to that also. But that was like such a good investment because it's impacted my whole life.
Yeah, and I was about to say that my next tip was like ask yourself the hard questions.
Yes.
Like not the filler.
And really answer them.
And really answer them authentically.
Correct. And
like there should be probably emotion tied to it. Like if you're doing that, keeping up with the Joneses thing, you might start having anger and anxiety, right? You're like, wait, why am I feeling this way?
Correct.
Right? But you have to ask yourself the hard questions though. Like,
feelings are really the most
like, why you
the
want
best
the Rolex?
gift because it's like a lightning.
Why you want the Rolex? And then like you get a reason. And I like the 7 why thing. Like just keep asking yourself.
Yeah.
Why?
I never heard that.
Why?
That's
why?
good.
Why? And if you come down to an answer that you don't like assign yourself with or associate yourself with, then like switch it. Like you don't care about Rolex. But you might care about watches because your grandpa, who's your favorite grandpa in the world, love watches.
Right.
And like that's your way to like connect with him.
Right.
Right. And it's cool to know that.
Yeah.
So now you know your motivation behind it.
Right.
And you can manage it. But also I think too, when you think about like you're saying, investing yourself in personal growth, it just makes your life better for other people.
Oh yeah.
right? Like when you're good, like everyone else in your life is good.
So
And I've always been saying
true.
that, like if you can be good, right? Whatever and it could be little things, it could be a lot of things. Doesn't really matter. But once you're good,
Yeah.
you're able to give so much more.
Oh yeah, because everyone around you like feeds or like
We'll feed off it.
Oh yeah, so if you're in a bad place, it's not just you in a bad place
Yeah.
anymore.
And applies
Isn't that crazy?
and applies pressure to people in your circle to also get good,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
you're like good, and you're like, yo, I'm saying the president.
Yeah, because if you're good all the time and like your circle isn't, like that's not your circle.
Yeah, either they have to like try to get good as well,
Yeah.
or you have to just kind of just go apart.
Yeah, because if you're feeling comfortable being in a bad place all the time, I can't be around you.
Yeah, and-
That's like the problem is I'm gonna want to fix it. And then,
Exactly.
like you can't fix other people, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just like to be around people that are always growing.
Me too, and I think
But that's also part because I know that about me.
yeah,
So now I don't feel like ashamed for that or apologetic about it.
yeah, like it should make you feel amazing once you're
Yeah.
going through the process. And
Yeah, why don't you talk about, has there been a time, because I know I have a lot of examples, like when you understood something about yourself, why it made your life better? Like, why is it so important to know yourself?
so,
Like, maybe there's something you didn't know that you learned recently, and now it was like a game
well,
changer.
one thing I learned like from being a kid is like I have to touch the pot to know that it's hot.
Yeah.
So I'm an experience. I learned by doing, in a sense. I learned by doing and watching.
Yeah.
So like when I figured that out, and I realized that like okay, like the reason why I'm not really the greatest at school is because they don't really focus on those kind of things when like you're learning really. Like for example, I used to be frustrated a lot with myself because I knew that I was like quote unquote smart.
Yeah.
So it's really frustrating when like you're intuitive, you can talk really well.
Yeah.
You're communicative. Obviously, you're not, having learning disability, but when you look at your results, like you're not getting.
Right.
So this could be frustrating.
Right.
So when I was, I guess, going through school, I realized that I'm also touched the pot that was hot, also 0 to 100.
Right.
Because I didn't care about it, I wasn't putting the effort in to actually do it, to actually watch and learn it.
Right.
So I wouldn't get the results that I needed.
Right.
Because I can like fake do it and fake, but for me, like I really have to touch the pot that is hot. I can't get close to the pot, right? I can't look at the pot. I really have to touch it and burn
And
my
this
hand.
is also like you're an ENFP. Your driver is authenticity.
Exactly.
So like school and traditional learning is not in alignment with.
It's not in alignment.
You didn't believe in it.
I didn't believe it, especially when I looked at my long-term goals, like me at such a young age knowing what I wanted to do, like,
Yeah.
it didn't line up. So it was really hard for me to like fake it, right? So I kind of like sent it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But also, so it helps me in life when as soon as I'm not feeling something, like how instantly I change.
Yeah.
And it affects everything.
Oh yeah, and when you are feeling something, it's like the best of you around
Exactly.
you. Yeah.
So for me, it's like, what are things that I care about and what keeps me going, and actually spending the time like, what is it? So like right now, part of my life, I'm really just focusing on taking care of my family and making sure they're set up to be great. So that's cool.
Son of the year over here.
So that's cool. So now that's like, again, like when I said earlier about like testing things. When I do something now, it's like, does this align to that goal?
Yeah.
Before.
So what do you do? I'm sure you've noticed. Like I don't know. I usually look at my life a week out.
Yeah.
And then like a day out.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are looking at things in your day, in your week,
Mm-hmm.
and you realize that you're investing, you don't have a lot of time. You work in a restaurant.
Yeah.
You own a restaurant, and
Yeah.
you're working double. So
Yeah.
when you're looking at how you're spending your time, and let's say something isn't in alignment with your goals and your priorities,
Yeah. So
what do you do?
So before-
how do you course correct?
So before, I'll give you guys my bad behavior. So let me finish my point though. Like taking care of my family, right? Driving force. But like when Liz met me, I thought and I believed that I could do everything and everything. So not only did I want to take care of my family, I want to take care of all my friends, right?
Right.
So I was doing both. I was like, well, I want to take care of and I also want to have my friends do it with me and my family do it, right? And which is like, wait, I can't want it for everybody.
Look at you trying to be a hero.
Right? Like, you can't save it. Don't save it, right? Don't save it. You guys know J. Cole. Listen to that song. But like,
That's such a good song.
it's really such a good song. But like, I was trying to save everybody. And
I wish
now,
you could put little clips of songs in these
We should.
podcasts.
Sam.
Sam.
but
That'd be so
that'd be
good.
hilarious. No, but yeah. So, that's so. I understand that about me. Like, try to save everybody, do everything.
Yeah.
So, recently I've been learning how to say no, but also like not doing it out of obligation because I feel
Yeah.
like I need to help somebody. Before I would fold. That was my bad behavior.
Yeah.
So I would sacrifice what I had to do to make sure somewhere else was good. Always. Because in my brain, my driving force is to make sure other people are good too.
Right.
Right? So then I'm like looking like, oh, wow. I did not do any of my work because I was over here helping this person.
Yeah.
Right? And now I'm behind.
Right. Now
And
you're not
it's-
reaching your goals.
Now I'm not reaching my goals.
And in turn, you're not even being able to help your friends as much as you
really
could if you hadn't been a little bit more self-focused.
So now I'm being more self-focused. Now I'm being more...
We don't use self-centered around here. We just
Be self-focused. And it's actually powerful because it's like, in a way, it seems kind of counterintuitive, but like, it's not. Like, you have to have water to be able to give it. So many people don't have water and trying to like give out,
Yeah.
nothing. Right? And I was doing that too.
And I think a lot of people that don't have water are trying to give everybody else water to distract themselves and to deflect from actually focusing on themselves and fixing the hole in their cup.
Yeah, that's huge. Like, you're not focusing on yourself enough.
Because if you're busy helping everybody else, you don't have to worry about your own issues.
Yeah, and a lot of people just, it's just also bad strategy. Right? Like, it's just, like, again, like I said, watch what you say. Like, what do you mean take care of your family? What do you mean by taking care of your friends?
Yeah.
Like, are you talking about wealth? Are you talking about just being there, like a support system?
Yeah.
Like, so like, if it's money, well, you gotta make sure you're doing things to be able to make the money to be able to do that.
Right.
So you really can't technically always be there because your time is to make money.
Right.
But also, if you spend too much time there, you're not also doing, right?
Yeah.
So what is your strategies? Like, kind of work backwards
Yeah.
and knowing yourself, like, do I have the capacity to do this? Like, are you being authentic? Like, do you, right? Because I think a lot of times we just want to please and say yes and conform. That's like the natural society, what we do.
Yeah.
So I say when everyone's zig and zag,
Yeah.
like, be yourself. But yeah, spend time with yourself to know. Like, okay, like, there's people that want things from me right now that I just don't answer. And I'm not trying to be, I'm so busy. What we said earlier, so I used to say, oh, I'm busy or like deflecting. More like, no, that does not align with what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not trying to be there, right? But I'm just being honest that like, me taking 30 minutes for you does not align to what I'm doing right now.
Right.
And it's just like, but now I'm knowing myself, I would have done it in the past.
Yeah.
But then I would be behind.
And that's people pleasing.
Exactly. Like this past weekend, guys, like, I'm not a typer writer out of anything, right? But I knew if I didn't do it yesterday from 6 a.m. to about 4 p.m., I would never do it. I would never find the time to do it because I can fill my time up being busy, right? So I forced myself to just do that. So when you know yourself, you can see your shortcomings.
Yeah.
And things that you do that may avoid you from your goals. So like working out, for example, for somebody could be, well, you really like to eat and overeat. Right? So then you're like, wow, I'm eating and overeating. Like, why am I doing that? It could be a comfort. You could be buffering. You could just be like, right? There's something deep there. You could be insecure. You got to really spend a lot of time to figure out why you're overeating versus then like just overeat and like feel bad about yourself the next day. So for me, like working out, I didn't do it because I was so busy, right? But I also want to be healthy and I want to be strong and the things that I care about. So now I've been like looking at myself like, oh, okay, like my motivation is like deeper than just like I should work out because like Liz told me to, or like I should work out because everyone else is working out.
Right.
Now it's like no, like because I want to be healthy. I made a joke like a couple podcasts ago about being able to run a mile in 6 minutes. I'm being serious. Like I know I make up these things in my head, but that's part of knowing yourself and spending time to be like, this is why I'm working out, or this is why I'm not working out. Yeah. This is why I'm successful. This is why I'm not successful. Right? If I look at my life, how I approach school and how I approach my business, well, if I'm being lazy and not really there, right? Well, then it's going to affect my business as much as it affected my schooling and my learning. So, right? Like you have to like spend time and like slow down and be like, oh, these are things that I do. So now I don't think you should spend too much time on your weaknesses, but just you should be able to course correct. Mm-hmm. Be like, oh, anytime. So for example, like let's say you're trying to get off the couch. So you wake up in the morning, you start your day off probably pretty late, right? I don't judge you when you start your day, but you have a decision to go to the gym or sit on the couch, right? Normally you want to sit on the couch and just Netflix and chill all day, right? You say you want to go to the gym, but your authentic self right now in the moment is wants to like go lay down on the couch. I think in that moment when you feel that pull to go on the couch, but you say your goals is to work out and lose weight, is that in that moment when you feel that you switch it.
Yeah.
You don't fall for it. You don't go into it.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of times we like succumb to that, right? Because your subconscious is super powerful. So I've been working a lot on myself recently about like there's things that I do when I want to go withdrawal and get away from my stress. They're not helping me get out of my situation.
Right.
Right. There's some days I just want to stay in my bed and I don't want to get out and like work out because I'm tired and I'm exhausted. But like just because I'm tired and exhausted doesn't mean I can't work out. But why am I tired and exhausted?
Right.
Because I haven't been working out.
That's the real question.
Right? So it's like a circle that we put ourselves into. So when you slow down, for me, if you're like me, productive, ADHD, doing everything, you don't slow down. I didn't know that. I never took time to ever figure that out.
Not crazy.
Right? So I'm like, wait a minute. Like there's a reason why like I'm eating more in the restaurant. Like I'm stressed, so I'm eating. Okay, let me take that stress and work out. Right. Like this, you have to be able to spend time yourself so you can catch it. If you don't, you don't know why you're doing it. Right. Or you might be in a relationship staying with somebody who's toxic. Why? Because it's comfortable.
You don't like confrontation.
You don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
Are you scared? What do you, like? Right, there's always these things you have to keep asking yourself, and then put it in the big picture, and then put it in present day. Like you put the big picture, it's not that bad. Big picture, if it's not good for you, right? Right. If anything, it'd be better for you. You course correct, and in present day, if you course correct too, you feel instantly better. Right. Right. So it's like all these things are just taking time.
But see, that's the thing right there is you feel instantly better. Instantly. So if you pay attention to how you feel throughout the day, it's actually really easy. Really easy,
and like I love it in business. Yeah. Like there might be a business deal that you want to take, and it might be great money, but it might not be authentically or really in your heart. Right. For what you want to do, and it's like now there's times where you have to like not use your emotions all the time in business. Right. But if it is something that's physically and mentally draining, like you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Yeah. Always, because it's like that's not why you started the business. Right. Because what you're telling the world and the universe that like you want things that are stressful and draining. Right. When you take those projects on.
I think as well, if you want to know if you're doing another indicator of if you're doing something that's meant for you, that's in alignment with you, is look at how you're performing. Mm-hmm. So I knew I had found the right thing with the lemon bowl because it started taking off. Yeah. So like Brooke Castillo always says, the best indication of your mental health and your physical health is the scale, your marriage, your bank account, your list of clients, your relationships. Those are going to be the best indication of your success. Like that just doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. We joked like QuickBooks doesn't lie. Yeah, QuickBooks does not lie. So if you're wondering how you're doing, look at QuickBooks. If you're wondering how your mental health is, look at your kids, look at your husband, look at
how your marriage is,
look at your friendships, look at everything in your life, look at like the house you live in. Like that's just, Brooke's very black and white.
Yeah, life is too short.
And that's just a way, it's a way of like, am I in alignment with where I should be or not? Well, those things don't lie.
Yeah, life's too short to be miserable. That's what I always tell people. Yeah. Like you can die tomorrow, man.
You're right. Right.
I'm not trying to get too heavy on the podcast, guys. Sorry. But I'm just saying, like, I'm realizing more too. If I'm not happy, because that's what success really is, or like, enjoying myself and my time, then what's the point? Yeah. It's not worth it.
Right.
It's like, also really important. Isn't.
If you know, like, so for me, when I understood, like, let's take it away from success and achievement, Mr. Type 3. Let's talk about just feeling happy and feeling good. Yeah. So more emotional. So regardless of any sort of achievement, let's just talk about feeling good on a daily basis. So for me, understanding my Myers-Briggs and my Enneagram and just knowing who I am as a person, I know that there's certain things I need to do throughout my day to day and my week to week and month to month to be happiest. So for me, like I'm a super social person. So having a full social calendar is one of those things, or working out all the time, or having a trip scheduled. Like there's just certain things that I know make me my best person. And by knowing all of that, and even just understanding, by knowing who you are, I know for me, I think because I am so different from so many people that I spend time with, I think I thought something was wrong with me. Literally. Why are you laughing at me?
No, it's funny though. Keep going.
I think sometimes when you're different, you think something's wrong. Yeah. And because I am so like high performing, high achieving, like striving, and a lot of people in my life are just, they have different priorities. I think, whereas the funny part is I never thought anything was wrong with them. Like, I always, like, admired them looking, right. I thought something was wrong with me. Like, why am I like this?
Hey guys, that's an indication that no, you're special. You feel like you're the weird one.
Oh, really?
That's how I gauge it.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Oh,
but
really?
no, you just figured yourself out. That's what it
Yeah.
is. You're not weird. You just actually know yourself. You know that yourself enough to know that you're different.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something that, like, I do still, like, struggle with on a very consistent basis.
Yeah, I think that's actually what you want to do. You want to be able to figure yourself out. Be like, oh, so I don't like the country club, so I don't want to pay for it.
Literally.
Or like, oh, like
That's
I
a
don't
fact,
like
by the way.
I don't like Oreos, so I'm not gonna eat Oreos. Right? Like,
Look at you.
like
Same.
It's like all these things that like,
Yeah.
or that does not make me happy.
Right.
I don't want to do
and
it
I think
anymore.
for me, realizing that it's okay to prioritize things different than other people. Just like
Yeah.
I don't begrudge anyone. Like,
Right.
I have friends that aren't into fitness like I am, but I don't care. Like,
Yeah, no.
like, we're all different. And I think, like, that's what I love about my friends is that, and by friends, I also just mean people I engage with online. Like, I have a very large social network by the
Yeah.
nature of what I do for a living. So, you know, I actually, like, I think it's really good to have different types of people around you. But what I need to work on is not apologizing, or also, like, the whole dumbing myself down.
For other people,
I
no.
do that so much.
Be yourself.
Why do we do that?
I think we do it because it's part
Explain what I'm talking about.
I think, well, from what I'm understanding from you is we do those kind of things because it's easy to conform. It's easier to fit in than to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Standing out means you're by yourself.
Yes,
And
and
a lot of
that's human
people-
nature. You don't want to be.
And a lot of people don't like standing out. and
That's why
being
people
by
are afraid of
themselves.
public speaking, because you're on stage away from everybody else.
Yeah, because, we I think when you stand out, you focus on the negatives. Like, oh, people can see me mess up. I look at all the positives. Like, there's amazing things by standing out and being by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know yourself, you know where you're going, you're on your own path, like, you're special.
Yeah.
Believe it.
There isn't a podcast about adversity that we both listen to.
Yeah.
Brooke Castillo, which we can link to, and she was saying that if you are looking at other people and making, like, judgy statements about them or whatever else, more than likely the people that do that are sitting home taking no risks. Like, they're not putting themselves up on stage. They're not putting themselves in the public platform. They're not going out on a limb.
Yeah.
So it's easy to sit back when you literally do nothing of risk and, make comments and judgments about other people that are putting themselves out there. Like, even it could be a professional, like it could be a professional football player. Well, he's putting himself out there. It could be whatever else it might be that you might think, like, oh, it's so lucky for them, or it's so easy for them. But you're forgetting all those times that they lose, or they injure themselves, or whatever other mistakes when you're out in a public way. Are you actually taking any chances? Are you actually making any risk? Are you putting yourself out there?
Yeah, there's like a line, I think Drake said it was like, bench players talking like starters. I hate it.
That
like,
is it.
That sums it up
Drake,
right there. Shout out to
never
Drake.
let me down.
But like,
See, can we put that song in right
yeah.
now?
But like, when I heard that line, I was like, true. There's so many people judging on the sidelines, on the
And
bench.
it's all the people, I feel like the most judgmental people are the ones on the sidelines.
Yeah, so an article came out, I think last year, sometime earlier this year, where like LeBron James said he invested $1 million into his body a year.
Whoa.
Like, and then you're like, wow, like that's why he's the greatest.
That's so cool.
Like, he takes it seriously, and that makes sense in business, right? You invest $1 million to go make 100, whatever he makes, 100 million. Well, like it's 10% of his income. Like, it makes sense why he's doing it. But the reason why he's a starter and the reason why he's like the greatest, because he takes it that seriously. Now, I always like tell people, like, when you make it to the NBA or the NFL, like the best of the best are there.
Yeah.
Like, anybody who's in that sport is literally a great. If you're in an NBA team right now and you're not LeBron James, you're literally the best in the world. Like, you can beat anybody at basketball. But then to see that and then see you on the bench, you're on the bench, and then LeBron is playing and you're not, that takes a whole nother level of standing out and dedication, investing in yourself, and knowing yourself.
Yeah.
LeBron James knew when he first came into the league, he was right from high school. He knew that, like, that's what he was destined to do. He took it seriously.
That's so cool.
And he didn't try to conform and be in the team and be like, yo, let me make people that are judging me like me.
That is what I need to stop doing.
Because, like, right? You really do.
Oh my God.
Because, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does.
Because they don't care that much anyway. I don't believe it.
No.
Right? And also, like, if you have time to judge me, right?
Exactly.
and try to bring me down, that means you see something that you're afraid of me doing.
That's it. Anytime you see someone that you're jealous of or anything,
They're putting their own, right?
it's something in you wants to be doing it, but
Exactly.
you're too afraid.
And when you know yourself, and like I want to do this real quick too. I think a lot of people are delusional. Like there's people that still think they're like 26 and they're going to NBA.
Oh my god.
I'm like, yo, it's probably over for you, bro. I'm not trying to be a douchebag, but like Zion's 18 and jump from half court. You know what I'm saying? You can barely dunk, and you're 26. Like you're probably
I think that's just immaturity.
right. And yeah, and I think this lack of like knowing yourself, like
Yeah.
or edit your dream.
Are
Like,
these people paying bills? Because like,
yeah, they're paying bills. Like they just have like they call it like hoop dreams or music dreams, and I'm just like always just like or entrepreneurship dreams or like whatever it is. I'm just like, well, like you're kind of being delusional too, like or you're either you're being crazy delusional. Like there's people that think they can sing but they can't sing. Now you love to do it. I'm not telling you that you can't.
can
do
you
it.
sing, Vince? Can we hear a little number?
I wish I could, maybe a little bit once in a while, but man of many
I
talents.
wish right now you like busted into something.
Man of many talents. We can get Sam to sing. Come
All
out,
right.
come out the back. Then me and him will do a duet one day for you guys.
I gotta get a piano over here.
Oh yeah, play a little piano, a little keyboard. No, but seriously though, don't be too delusional. Cause
How
like,
do you know if you're delusional?
well, you have like you said, Brooke said, there's like certain measures. Like QuickBooks doesn't lie. Like,
That was my lie.
right? Like, oh, that's
I love
hilarious.
that.
Like, QuickBooks don't lie. So like, if you're running a business, you're 6 years in, well, and like, and it's not doing well, either like you really suck, or you know, it's hard to gauge. I
Yeah.
mean, you could be off of that hump, but he's been doing it for 6 years. It's a long time.
Literally
You know what I'm
today,
saying?
we had our accountant like is in our QuickBooks today to tell us what we owe for taxes.
Yeah.
So literally, QuickBooks does
Yeah,
not
it does not lie, yo.
good and bad.
So make sure you're on top of your numbers. Make sure you're top on QuickBooks, and make sure you have a good CPA because you could get in trouble, yo. Make sure you're on top of that. Anyway, though, there's a lot of people who are delusional too, and I think
Yeah.
slowing down because like you might have that immense belief, but there's a talent and there's a hard working, and then like the NBA only has a certain number of people that can be in there at a certain time, right? So I also been telling people to
You
like,
mean everyone can't be in the NBA?
no, not everyone can be an NBA guys, but not everyone can also be uber rich.
Right.
But there's things that you can do. Be happy, right? And like, I want people to like stop being so delusional or stop putting so much pressure
So
on
here's
themselves.
what I think that really is about. I think that a lot of people tell themselves that if they make this much money, they'll be happy. If they lose this much weight, they'll be happy. If they meet this person and fall in love, they'll be happy. And what I think is that there's a lot of misunderstanding about what is required to be happy. Because there are many, many really wealthy people that are the most miserable people in the world.
Exactly.
There are, I remember reading the book Stumbling on Happiness, and he was talking about how he met this man that was in a wheelchair and he was blind and 1,000 awful things, and he was the most happy. Yeah, absolutely. Things that other people would think, oh, I would be miserable if X, Y. But that's what's so incorrect about our brain. And unfortunately, our brain is so powerful.
Yeah.
I really recommend the book Stumbling on Happiness because it changed my perspective about what happiness is and what you need to achieve it. And I think, perfect example about money, I think people are pretty happy after like, what's the number? Like 50 grand, like whatever it is where you live and you can pay your bills.
Yeah, imagine you live Grand Rapids, like 55.
I swear to God.
You're good. There's
Like,
only
the amount
75,
of
you're
additional
amazing.
happiness beyond that is very small. Like the percentage of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that is a misconception.
Big misconception. But going back to people who are also being delusional, I think they haven't given themselves an at-bat to try something different. They've told the world they've accepted this one thing, and now there's social pressures. Like, I'm going to the league. Well, I mean, I think, and like, you listen to NBA players, they know at 11, 12, 13 they're going to the league. Like, they know for a fact.
So there are like a lot of 11, 12-year-olds that are saying that.
Well, there's people that believe it or say, like,
Yeah.
I go to the league. Then there's like 13-year-olds who are like, Nike's literally talking to your dad right now. Like, you're going to the league.
Yeah.
Duke is already signed you at 12.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to a number one college. Like, there's things you have to just accept. Like, I played sports, right? And like just realized that I was never gonna go pro. I never was delusional about
How'd
it.
you handle that?
I was okay, but I didn't have the dream. But I had friends like who had the dream of like making.
What are other examples of people that are delusional?
I think like if you run into it every day in life, there might be people that
You trying to tell me something?
No, you know. And I do think in a funny way, and this is where I contradict myself. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs are delusional. Like
Yeah, you need a little bit of.
you need a little bit like I see it, but you can't. Delusion, but there's a point where it's like, okay, you take it too far, you know. And like I run into people every day that I think this is the audacity of what you say, and what you believe, and I think like, you know, and we're living in a culture right now where like no one's like fact checking or like checking people.
I was just gonna say,
in a sense,
think it's
and
definitely
like,
a generational thing.
because people are calling it like hater or like you're not supporting my dreams, like all these like
That's
people are
such a generational thing.
what I call people getting soft and like, you know what I'm saying? But like just because like someone like edit you or gave you feedback does not mean they don't believe in you. That means they probably do.
Right.
You have to be able to discern, right, in your heart to know if this is somebody hating on you, saying like you can't do it, it's not going to work, versus someone saying like, yo, you should probably think about these things. These are two separate, right?
Have you had to have this conversation recently with someone?
Yeah, all the time. I have this conversation multiple times a week with a lot of people.
If you have a meeting with Vince next week, cancel it now because it's going to be bad news.
No, it's going to be great news. I'll be like, yo, I think you can do it, right? But like, also like, funny gauge in entrepreneurship.
But
like,
hey, there's this job opening down the street. Take a look at it.
All right, for funny gauge, like in entrepreneurship, like you probably you probably didn't ask a lot of people while you were building your business, right?
No.
So like that's a gauge right there.
That is, we talked about that last night.
Like no one believes in anything that I do.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't ask anybody for any advice or help. Not saying that's the way you should do it. Just saying that like that's a gauge to know that like you probably have the adversity measure in you to be able to do things. You probably have a little bit of delusion to see things before in entrepreneurship. Right. Maybe in like love and happiness, like you know at a young age that this is your husband or your wife. Yeah. Right? You know it to be true. You believe in it to be true. You really
if you're asking around if people think you should marry this person, you probably shouldn't.
That's probably a good gauge.
Like, because I never once was like, hey guys, I don't know, should I marry? Right? Like, it wasn't even. That was never something I was pulling the crowd for. If you're pulling the crowd,
that's probably a good gauge that you're not being super authentic.
You're not.
And it's probably not aligning with your. You're probably worried about.
You just spend a little time looking inward.
Exactly, and then you go deeper from there.
Yeah.
It's a lot about knowing yourself, layers to this, guys.
But actually, that's a really good point because Irie Lemon is one of those things that a lot of people still don't know what it is. They don't understand it. And
but we get it. We got it.
And not everybody has to understand it. That's okay. And I think that the fact that you and I are so okay with not everybody understanding it is why it's the right move.
And personally, I love when people think it's a bad idea. That's when you know you should do it. Personally,
I'm not that way, but the fact that I don't have any reservations and that we're both on the same page is why we know it's the right thing.
Yeah, like I'm a risk taker, and then guys, I take losses though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do. Liz knows.
I'm not a big loss taker.
I get into stuff. And don't get me wrong, I hate losing, but I get into things all the time because I just want to do them.
Yeah.
And like people tell me they're so bad. Now, what I don't do though is bet everything on it. Right? I don't do that. But I will bet a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm a little gambler a little bit.
But I do think you're more the motivation. You just get even more motivated if someone doesn't understand.
Yeah, I always tell people like
that's not going to deter you.
Yeah, like I'm the type of person don't tell me I can't do it.
Right.
It's gonna make it harder. Doesn't want to do it, make me do it more.
Right.
Tell me start believing in me. I might be like, oh yeah, I don't want to do it.
Literally though. It's so true.
No, but yeah. So.
But I think the fact that like with Irie Lemon that I didn't have any. Even when I didn't even understand what was happening, I never doubted it.
So guys, like quick story times to give you guys a breakdown. So Liz and I became friends, right? We talked on the phone, had conversations in person and stuff. And then I suggested Irie Lemon, let's do a podcast. And now we're here today. We have the podcast and we do videos, right? So people that know Liz and people that know me, and you guys can probably even see or making assumptions, right? Like I'm 23, Liz is in her 30s, and huge age gap, huge wealth gap, huge race gap, right? It doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to happen in the world of the way things work.
You forgot religion.
Religion gap.
Everything.
Like everything's not. So I always tell people when I run into people.
Gender.
Literally
everything.
Everything's like weird, right?
Compared to everyone else,
So when I run into people yo guys, we're actually friends. Like she's actually
don't tell them.
Like she's actually we're actually homies, right? So and then the businesses make sense because we're both people that are productive and execute on things. So the business is gonna work because our business stuff works.
Right.
Our friendship's gonna work because we're actually friends. So we know that that it looks weird, that people could take, but we don't care because it's something bigger that's pulling us to do this thing. Not again, we're not people on the bench, we don't care what you're saying.
Well,
like you're not playing the game.
I don't want to just do things that like because other people think it's right or not.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of women out there that look just like me that I
Yeah.
have zero interest in being friends with.
Exactly. And like,
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like we're the same. A lot of other things in common, but like. I don't think you should just surround yourself with people that look just like you and
think
talk
like
just like you, think just like you.
That's super limited.
It's
That's
a
not,
very small way to live life.
and it's not the world we're getting into where we're going. We're in a global economy right now.
Should we also address the fact that like I'm also not doing this to like make some political statement,
Yeah, like I think like a lot of people think like, you know, culture vulture comes up a lot.
which I had never heard of.
And I think like even for me too, like me like using you, right? Like people is
Right.
like, oh, you're using her. I'm like, well,
Trying to get some
I just followed
followers,
Liz on
man.
Instagram.
I think he literally
Like-
just started following Irie Lemon like a few days ago.
Like I'm like, and I always said like, no, I'm actually friends with her. Like I could care less. And like in the beginning of our friendship,
This
I had to
isn't-
really like,
I think people think
gotta
this is
remind me
much
that-
more strategic than it is.
than it actually is.
Like, look, we just like hanging out together, and we have the same values and goals. So we're doing something productive with our friendship.
Yeah.
And a story.
That's what we do.
That's literally like
We turned our friendship into a business.
Vince won't
guys.
hang out with me unless I pretend it's for work. So
That's what we did. We turned our
Type
friendship.
three.
That's what I started telling people. We turned our friendship into a business. That's what we did.
literally, but I think people are so, small-minded.
Yeah, small-minded.
And I think
judgy.
when people don't understand big concepts, which again, it's okay. Like big things aren't like when something hasn't happened yet, people don't get it because
Yeah.
we're building a new business. So it hasn't happened yet. Just like when other things in the past were created, you know, no one understood it yet because it hadn't happened yet. So I get that people are probably just trying to put us into a box that they can understand to help them digest it.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay that we're not easy to digest. But you're probably overthinking,
Yeah, really overthinking.
and you're probably making it into like
And like for me, like life's short. You know, I'm Jamaican, so
you are.
yeah. So you know, we come from like I've a lot of context on things. I've traveled, I've seen things,
Yeah.
I've experienced things. So for me, it's like, you know, when your life is so, and this could be another podcast for another day, but just real quick, when you like limit yourself or to life,
Yeah.
like you really
Like I can only be friends with someone that looks like me.
yeah, like life gets really small and super one-sided, and I don't like the two extremes. The beauty is definitely in the middle or
Yeah.
the gray. So life is all about operating within that, and then you make your decision whether it's black or white.
Right.
But you're on one side. There's no way you make an authentic or a good decision.
Right. And
In
I
my
think
opinion.
if we didn't know ourselves well enough, for example, we probably wouldn't have had, I'm assuming confidence is the right word, to pursue our friendship. Because there's probably a lot of people that miss out on opportunities because on paper they're not supposed to do it. Because it might not look right publicly.
Yeah.
Or it might raise eyebrows to people. And I think because you and I are so, in that respect, self-assured and confident, we weren't really looking for the approval of other people. And if we didn't have that self-knowledge,
Yeah.
we probably would have missed out on this opportunity.
100%.
Lucky us.
So episode
14.
knowing yourself.
What letter's next? Do you know?
What's after K?
How could you forget L? Liz, lemon, all the best words.
Yeah, I don't take L's. That's why I forget about it.
So if you have an idea for L, send it our way. We'll take some ideas. And if you listen to this podcast, we'd love a review. Thank you. We've had so many great 5-star reviews. We appreciate it.
Please tell your mom that you love this podcast and have her listen to it.
Send it to a friend. And if you're listening, tag us. We love your feedback. Hopefully the sound has been better.
Yes, we're working on it.
I haven't heard from you. I was hoping to hear more positive about it, but I'm
Yeah.
assuming no news is good news. So thanks for your patience.
And also, we have an Irie Lemon Eats video coming soon. So
And we have another fun event to talk about. January 3rd at the JW Marriott. If you live in West Michigan, come out and say hi. Vince and I are judges for the West Michigan Food and Beverage Industry Awards. It's going to be a really cool event. It's open to the public. There will be a lot of food and beverage industry professionals there, but it's a really cool night to celebrate everyone in West Michigan, bartenders, chefs, restaurant owners that make our food scene so great. So on Facebook, there's an event page for that.
Yes.
If you want to come say hi, we'll be there. Any other final thoughts?
No, look out for New Year's Eve. That's it.
Look at you teasing that out. All right, guys. See you later.
Bye bye.